Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm Jesse Arnold. Today I'm bringing you my Monday Madness for July 12th, 2021, and that's a movie review of Black Widow. Hey folks, welcome to the channel. If this is your first time watching, thanks for joining me today. If you don't mind, or if you want to, hit that like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. If, of course, you actually like the content. That said, today is Monday, so I do Monday Madness, and every other week, as of now, I'm alternating between toy haul reviews, or just going through stuff I've gotten recently. It could be classic vintage stuff that I'm finding used and secondhand, kind of rebuilding the stuff I had when I was a kid, or new collectibles and things like that as well. Or it's going to be the other Monday, which is today, which is a movie review. And this week I'm reviewing Marvel Studios' Black Widow. Now, many of you know this movie was delayed a full, 14 months now? It was supposed to come out last May, but then COVID happened and the whole world got put on pause, including a lot of Marvel stuff. So this is the first full Marvel movie since Spider-Man Far From Home, and I have been eagerly anticipating this movie, as many of you out there in the world have also been anticipating it. I will give you fair warning. I will do the first bit like I do most of my review videos. I'll do spoiler-free stuff up front, and then I will give a warning card with spoilers for the second half of the video. So up front, without spoilers, just talking about stuff you've seen in trailers. I feel trailers are fair game, unless it's... I'm not going to fill in details of what those scenes are if they're important or spoilery. I will start off with the director. I am not familiar with Kate Shortland's work other than this movie. I looked up her IMDb profile just to see, and I've heard of some of the shows and movies and things that she's worked on, but I am not personally familiar with any of them. But I think she did a fantastic job with this movie. Making a movie in the Marvel Universe are big shoes to fill. They're not always the most prominent, dramatic, sink your teeth into directorial things, I guess, that some people would want from their cinema and films and whatnot. But I feel that they do provide a pretty uniform standard, not standard, but like quality of excellence in these movies. Even if you don't like some of the movies, or at least for me, none of the Marvel movies are low on my overall movie list. I might have some further down than others in my opinions of the movies themselves, but they still rank higher than a lot of other movies in my opinion, just in as far as the quality of the consistency of filmmaking between all these different directors and creative people. Yeah. So that said, I think Kate Shortland, great job directing. You've got Scarlett Johansson as, of course, Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, and we meet some new characters. In Florence Pugh plays Yelena Belova. David Harbour plays Alexei. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, aka the Red Guardian, who is a Russian superhero from the comics. And then you've got Rachel Weisz playing Melina. I don't remember if she had a call sign or not. I don't think she did. Who are all, as you could tell if you've seen the trailers, they have like a family dynamic, or a fake family dynamic. And it's really cool the way they set that up in the movie. But I'm just going to focus on the acting. I think Rachel Weisz, I first saw her in the Mummy movie, as a lot of people have. And I absolutely... First time I saw that movie, I didn't think it was that great. It was fun, but it has grown on me, and it has become one of my favorite movies of all time. Hasn't made my top 13 list, but it's because it's part of a franchise, but it's really close. So she did a great job, I think, because you got some time jumps between scenes in this movie. I think she does a great job of playing her role and the roles her character plays throughout the movie really well. David Harbour, I watched this movie with my mom. I called her up in Florida. We synced it up on Disney Plus and streamed it together. I had to tell her that was a Hopper from Stranger Things. She didn't believe me at first because in early scenes in the movie, he doesn't have a mustache or a beard, so she did not recognize him at all. But he's an actor that I know I had seen before Stranger Things, but I'm most familiar with him in that and some other things now. I just watched No Sudden Move or No Sudden Moves on HBO a couple weeks ago with Don Cheadle and drawing a blank, Benicio del Toro, a couple other great actors. There's a lot of actual actors in that movie that are in the Marvel movies that just goes to show how great their acting skills are, that they can play something in those movies like Steven Soderbergh's No Sudden Moves, and then do stuff like the superhero things. Which I'm not trying to trash talk superhero movies. I absolutely love them, but there's a different level of, I think, cinema expectation, and I'm definitely not in the. You know what? I'm not going to go down that road. I love these movies. We'll just focus on that. So he does a fantastic job as Alexei. Again, all of the characters that are at least present in the different timelines, because obviously you've got younger versions of Natasha and Yelena played by different actresses than their modern day counterparts. But David Harbour and Rachel Weisz do a fantastic job. Florence Pugh, to me, is the she's not the star of this movie, but she is the breath of fresh air in this movie. Not that anyone in this movie is bad or phoning it in, but I've really been interested to see how she plays this character, what they do with this character, with my limited knowledge of her from the comics. So I was really pleased with how she portrayed this character. And I'll get into some of that stuff in the spoiler side later on. But she's an actress I first saw in Outlaw King on Netflix a couple years ago with Chris Pine as kind of the spiritual sequel to Braveheart, following up what happened after William Wallace died, which Braveheart's my all-time favorite movie right now and has been since 1995. So that movie was high on my list to watch, and I really enjoyed her in that. She, for an actress I had never seen before, and acting against Chris Pine, who I think is a phenomenal actor, like she really captured my attention in every scene she was in that movie. And then I saw she did Fighting with My Family, which is like, all right, that's a huge different personality and character than or Outlaw King. And then Midsummer, of course, Little Women, and now this, and other things in between. But she's got quite a range, and I believe her as the character she's playing in every movie, and she just nailed it in this movie. And then, of course, down to everyone's beloved Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I will say this, I was not a huge Scarlett Johansson fan prior to the Marvel movies, and even the first couple times she showed up, I wasn't as excited. I was happy to have Black Widow in the movie, and then when I learned that Emily Blunt had been in the run, I was real excited to have seen what she did with it. But now that we are where we are with these movies, I can't see anyone else doing what Scarlett Johansson has done with that role, and she's just absolutely fantastic in that character. I feel like she really understands her, and the way they portray her in the movies, I think, is really great. So I'm really glad that we got a whole movie focused on her and her story. And yeah, and of course, the other cast and characters that show up are fantastic, but those four are kind of the anchor of the movie. I think the editing, for the most part, is really good. It keeps the action, and the pace is really good. There's way more humor in this than I expected, and I don't mean that in a way that it takes away, but like they deal with some heavy stuff in this movie, and the humor they bring in is, it's not like Ant-Man movies level funny, but there's some really great humor in the family dynamic between these characters that I really, really enjoyed. The score was great. I already lost. Oh. Pardon me while I look this up, because I downloaded the soundtrack as soon as I finished the movie. Lauren Balfe, which, come on. Yeah, has done music. Let's see. been part of the music department on a lot of stuff, different movies, shows. Trying to see if there's one specifically as composer. Okay, The Tomorrow War. His Dark Materials, the TV series, Songbird, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 remastered, Bad Boys for Life. Trying to see Gemini Man. I mean, he's got a huge, and that's just the last like 2 years or so, and I didn't even read everything off, but there's a lot of stuff. Mission Impossible movies. So yeah, great overall look and feel to this movie. It felt strongly in the Marvel universe, and I guess with that, I'm going to have to jump into the spoilers. So be warned, if you keep watching, you're going to get spoilers for the Black Widow movie after this title card. Okay, so I want to reiterate right now, if you keep watching, you will hear spoilers for the movie. And for anyone who is still watching, as much as I love interacting with people in the comments, please keep the spoilers out of the comments if you don't mind. Okay, so brief recap of the movie. It starts off in 1995 in Ohio, where we've got young, is it Ever Anderson? I'm already drawing blanks on people's names. Why is this doing this to me? Yes, Ever Anderson, the daughter of Angelina Jolie, plays young Natasha, and then you've got Violet McGraw plays young Yelena. And the way they just introduce the bond between these two young girls in the movie is fantastic. I think Ever Anderson was a great choice. I don't know if she's ever acted in anything before. If she has, I don't know if I've seen it. And I think she did a great job, because there are definitely some Mia Jovovich vibes to her performance, but it's also very much her own, and very much a character I could believe grows up into Scarlett Johansson. So we meet them, and they're, the children of Alexei and Melina, who you quickly find out it's a Russian family, like sleeper cell. They're there on a mission as Russian agents in America in the 90s, and their parents accomplish the mission. They go on the run, and they escape to Cuba, and then at that point the girls get taken into the Red Room, and there's a really haunting version of Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit played over the opening credits that just puts a really different twist on that sound and the kind of brainwashing and training conditioning they put these girls through. And it's really interesting, the story points you see in the movie, because I think a lot of the Marvel movies don't do a lot of opening credits like this. At least they usually put them all at the end. So it was really interesting to see that up front. It felt more traditional, more normal movie. So, and then it jumps to the girls getting taken, and of course them getting conditioned, and then it jumps to modern times, and the movie is squarely set within the hours or days immediately following the airport fight in Germany in Captain America: Civil War. So this kind of sets up the couple of months in between that, or after that sends Natasha to where she ends up in Infinity War. So it takes place somewhere in between or around the times of Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Black Panther, because those movies, I believe, are pretty much immediately. Well, I know Spider-Man's a couple months afterwards, but those movies follow pretty much immediately after Captain America: Civil War. So she's on the run, and she's trying to just lay low. The Avengers have split up, and she's just trying to figure out her life, and she gets pulled back into stuff pretty quickly. We see some cool scenes with Yelena and the Black Widow crew doing a job, and they're taking out one of their own who has this chemical compound, this red gas that releases them from their training, their programming. in a way that, like, how Bucky can eventually get brought out of his stuff, that he has to go through all the things he does in Wakanda, which we don't really see in the movies, but they get their programming canceled out. So Yelena is freed in her opening action sequence, and it's really cool, her fighting style, because she's a smaller actress and she's younger. She plays almost the, not the weakling angle, but that she gets tired out or that she's unsure of herself, and encourages the aggression of her fighters. And you see this a couple times throughout the movie. In this fight, she does it with Natasha when they meet a little bit later in Budapest. And yes, I said it the way they say it in the movie. And I just really like that kind of feigning of weakness or lesser stuff to kind of encourage the aggression, to use that to her advantage. I think that was a really cool element they worked in there. So she sends these vials to Natasha. Covertly, we don't really know this is going on, but she finds these vials and she doesn't even know she has the vials. She thinks it's garbage from her old safe house, so she's going to throw them away, and she gets attacked by Taskmaster. Full armor, full outfit, like you've seen in the trailers, and it's kind of a shocking, sudden moment. And it just kind of sets the wheels spinning for her to eventually then go to Budapest and find why this stuff was there. She runs into Yelena, that leads them to Alexei, which leads them to Melina, which eventually leads them to the Red Room, and taking out Dreykov, General Dreykov. Dreykov's daughter is referenced by Loki in the original Avengers movie. We get the story on what that was all about. And there's some great action sequences, and the humor. I love the banter and the bickering between Yelena and Natasha, like the older sister, younger sister, right? Tension, and then as they get their different parental figures, Natasha and Melina, the mother figure, are all like, none of this was real, it was fake, it was just our job, while Yelena and Alexei both are kind of holding out to, like, no, we were a family. And it's really interesting and heartbreaking in some ways, the way they all deal with this, because you see Yelena, she was just 3, I think, when they took her into the program, so she was 6 when she went into the Red Room. So for her first 3 really formative years of family bonding and all this stuff was a real family in Ohio, not realizing all this other stuff, I guess. And so she has a rough time with this. And of course there's the big action sequences, everybody's got their stuff to do, and there's just really great moments throughout the whole movie. And I don't want to talk for a whole half hour about this. So overall, I absolutely enjoyed this movie. There are a couple things I will be nitpicky or negative on. I thought some of the action sequences, not the fight scenes, but some of the action sequences were a bit ridiculous for people who aren't actually superheroes. Especially because you see Yelena look at Natasha's back when they're changing, and she's got all these bruises and, wounds and stuff on her back, and she has a pretty strong reaction to that. It's a pretty vicious looking bruises and stuff. And she makes a joke about how the god from space doesn't need to take an ibuprofen after a fight and all this stuff, and they're stitching each other up and everything. So they're just normal people with exceptional training and exceptional skills, but they're not superhumans. And there are some car crashes and some things that are just a little bit, even for a superhero movie where there's a lot you take for granted, there's a couple things that are just a little too far. My friend said this, and I hate to agree with him on it, is a little bit Fast and the Furious in some ways, but they're very brief moments, especially because the main character is going to make it through the movie. It's hard to believe she's really in jeopardy, so some of the stuff that happened to the other character, it's just a little bit much. And the other thing I absolutely did not like has to do with Taskmaster. It doesn't have to do with who Taskmaster is and how they changed it. It's the fact that they showed the actress's name, yes, actress who plays Taskmaster, in the opening credits, not obviously saying that she's Taskmaster, but she's a well-known actress, Olega Kurylenko. She's been in a lot of stuff, Quantum of Solace, Hitman, lots of other things my mind is going blank on right now, but she's a pretty well-known actress, I think. And I saw her name in the opening credits, and I was like, well, I think I know who she is. There was a little bit of doubt about, maybe she'll be some other character that it gets introduced. But nope, she ended up being Taskmaster, and she was Dreykov's daughter, who wasn't actually killed by Natasha. She is now just this weird living weapon of her father's. And it's really sad what happened to her. But I think she's a great actress, I think, and she doesn't get to utilize a lot of her acting because you only really see her. She's kind of a mindless robot, for lack of a better word, human robot, and that's part of the whole concept of the story is that Dreykov has this formula that enslaves these widows, these people, to his will. He can literally control them on a data pad, a laptop, or whatever he's using, and have them do things as far as even killing themselves. So it's all about taking away free will and, Natasha and the team trying to break that cycle. So it's just... Those are my biggest complaints. Some of the action's a little bit too much for what these movies are. I feel like if they would have leaned a little more into the spy espionage aspect of it, like like a Jason Bourne movie or even Captain America Civil War, leaned into that aspect of it a little bit, and made it a little more grounded, a little more realistic. I would have not enjoyed it more, but I think it would have been a better movie. And I really think, giving away Olega Kurylenko's name was a huge showing your hand, because then I just kept waiting for her to show up in the movie. But those are my only two real complaints about the movie. There's no mid-credit scene because I think they tagged that on right before the actual credits start, so you see Natasha meeting up with her kind of contact, and she's in her outfit from Infinity War with the blonde hair and everything. And then there is a very end credit scene where you see Yelena come to Natasha's grave, and I got pretty emotional watching this. She comes and she cleans it off. It's like just this little place out in the woods, and it's pretty emotional. And then Valentina shows up from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the woman who has recruited John Walker. Is it John Walker? Am I blanking on names? The U.S. agent. I'm totally blanking on his name. Anyway, the new U.S. agent character at the end of that show, how she recruits him. We now see her dealing with Yelena, and Yelena addresses her in a way that feels like, oh, we already have a connection, we already have an established boundaries with each other, so it's not like a first meeting. And it leads into something that's going to looks like it's going to tie into the Hawkeye series coming to Disney Plus, I believe early next year or end of this year. I don't remember where that falls on the pipeline. So, all right, it looks like I am going to talk for almost 30 minutes. All in all, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. A couple little minor complaints, but nothing that really took away from my enjoyment of the movie. Just things I think would have made the movie a little bit better. I liked the twist with Taskmaster. It's a little bit of a shame that her powers in being able to mimic people are based on a computer simulation of program, kind of like Tony's armor in Civil War, but that but I liked the idea of her being kind of the penance for Natasha when she learns all of this. And there's some really great moments. There's some great laughs, some great lines. Again, Yelena is probably my favorite part of this movie, especially her younger sibling antics with Natasha, because I'm the youngest of 5, and there's some of the behavior in her. I'm not saying I'm like her, but there's similar feelings and emotional things that really tracked for me. And not that my family is super spies or anything, but there you go. So that's it. I've really rambled on for this Monday Madness. I hope you enjoyed the review. Feel free to hit me up for some comments and stuff. Please, again, keep the spoilers out. And I will be back on Wednesday with my comic rundown for this week. And Friday we'll have the Loki finale and the next episode of Bad Batch to review on Friday evening, or afternoon. So yeah, this video is going out a little bit later than normal. I just didn't have time to get it recorded for my normal review time today. So thanks for watching once again. If you're out there and it's hot, make sure you stay safe, stay hydrated, take care of yourselves, and I will catch you next time. And as always, ramble on.